Okay, it is Tuesday, March 11th, and it is 9 a.m., and I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. First up, we do have our invocation by Pastor Tencha Carmona. Come on up. Nope, right there. Yep.
Good morning, everybody, and I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you so much for calling me. We're going to pray and we're going to ask God to help every one of us because we need help. Amen. Padre, can I pray in English or you want me to pray in Spanish?
Whatever you'd like to do.
Yeah, español. All right. All right. Padre, en el nombre de Jesús, te damos gracias, Señor, por la vida, por la salud. Bendecimos, Señor, este grupo de líderes, Señor. Este grupo, Señor, que se ha unido para beneficiar las cruces Nuevo México. Padre, gracias. Dale sabiduría, entendimiento. Dale, Señor, guianza tuya, Señor, para que hagan cada uno lo que tú les mandas hacer, Señor, para bienestar de las cruces Nuevo México. Gracias, Señor, por tu amor para ellos. Bendigo sus familias, bendigo su trabajo, Señor. Te pido que tu bendición sea en ellos, Señor, sobre todo en sus familias, en el nombre de Jesucristo. Gracias, Señor, por esta junta hermosa. Que todo sea para beneficio de cada uno de ellos, en el nombre de Jesús. Amén, amén. Amen.
Thank you. Next up, we do have our Pledge of Allegiance, and today we have Maximum Martial Arts University, who is going to join us at the podium and lead the Pledge of Allegiance. So go ahead and join me up here.
So we normally say the Pledge of Allegiance, but we give commands to face a flag. We do it in Korean usually. And so it's going to be, when I say 경례, you'll hear the students say it. And 찰레야! 선조기 다하여 경례! I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hello.
Wonderful. And if you want to introduce yourselves, and then we'll take a quick photo.
These are the students of Maximum Martial Arts. So we'd love to have more, but because of spring break, there's quite a few out, and everybody's off doing wonderful things. And so these students have been with us, some of them for a couple years, some of them for many years. Some going to great lengths to do amazing things for our city, and hopefully we'll be sitting on this council at some point in time in the future. That's our goal.
Awesome. Come on up and we'll get a photo.
Oh, maybe Corey. But you know what? This is empty too, though, so I could scoot 2 chairs over. Or you could sit here.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us and doing that with us. So next up, we do have our roll call of the commission. Brandy, take it away.
Commissioner Gameros,
Present.
Commissioner Reynolds,
Here.
Commissioner Sanchez, Vice Chair Murillo. I'm sorry, Vice Chair Chaparro.
Presente.
Chair Shaljo Hernandez.
Here. We do have quorum. Okay, the commission convenes as the Board of County Commissioners and the County Board of Finance in open session. Are there any changes to the agenda, Mr. Lopez?
Mr. Chair, the only change is that I will be representing County Manager Scott Andrews because he is up representing us in Santa Fe at the legislature for County Days.
Awesome. Good to know. Thank you, sir. Next up, we do have our employee recognition, where the commission will recognize Doña County employees for their years of service to Doña County. And we do have our Assistant County Manager, Ms. Weir, here. Welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Today, we would like to take a moment to recognize Mr. Frankie Estrada. He is an engineering aide with the Flood Department, and he has been with Doña County for 20 years. So please take a moment to thank him and recognize him for his dedicated service to Doña County.
Thank you. Okay. Next up, we do have our public input portion of our commission meeting. If any member of the public would like to address the commission, if they can please bring themselves up forward. There's a book to your left. If you will please sign the book, or Pete, please sign the book and introduce yourself, stating your name, and you may address the commission for 3 minutes. And if you can all just start kind of forming a line for us so we can expedite this, please.
Good morning. Before I start my comment, can I ask a question, Mr. Chair? May I ask you a question? I would like to comment, an open comment, and I also would like to comment on the agenda item, on an agenda item. May I do that?
You can wait until that agenda item comes up. So if you are here
They're
to
two separate
address
comments.
us on an agenda item, you would have to wait until that agenda item is on the,
Right, but
comes up.
can I make an open comment and an agenda item comment?
well, you can make an open comment now.
Right, and then later, when the agenda item comes up, can I comment on that as
You-
well?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good morning, County Commissioners, Mr. Chair, and absent commissioners. I ask that you immediately repeal, oh, my name's Jim Hurst. I ask that you immediately repeal Resolution 2825. It is fatally flawed and a distinct violation of the U.S. Constitution. My assertion is based on the Supreme Court case, Town of Greece versus Galloway, 2014. From the majority opinion, once it invites prayer into the public sphere, government must permit a prayer giver to address his or her own God or gods as conscience dictates, unfettered by what an administrator or judge considers to be non-sectarian. Justice Kennedy, concurrent with Alito, Scalia, Thomas, and Roberts. If you examine Resolution 2825, you will find this provision in the guidance document. Item 6, quote, all invocations and other statements must be positive and uplifting and are not an opportunity to disparage other people, organizations, or beliefs. You will also find attached an article entitled Public Prayer in a Pluralistic Society. These are 6 pages of explicit instructions on ecumenical prayers. Here's the amazing part. 2018-25 cites Greece versus Galloway, but ignores Kennedy's instructions on the censorship of prayers. One wonders what they could have been thinking when they passed this resolution. Justice Kennedy found censorship of prayers a violation of freedom of speech and a free exercise of religion. The resolution also violates the New Mexico Constitution. No person shall ever be molested or denied any civil or political right or privilege on account of their religious opinions or mode of religious worship. Giving an invocation at these proceedings is a political privilege. This resolution gives clear preference to clergy as the ones invited and designated to offer invocations. As one who has attended these proceedings regularly, I can state that I can't remember when anyone but clergy had offered an invocation. Apparently, this is by design. Time does not permit me to spell out all the details, but I can just say Resolution 2825 is fatally flawed and an embarrassment to this commission in our county. You have a responsibility to repeal this horrible resolution immediately.
Thank you.
The sooner the better. Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Daisy Maldonado, and I'm the director of the Empowerment Congress. And I'm here this morning to talk about an ongoing issue that we have in the southern part of the county, in the city of Sunland Park, and the colonia of Santa Teresa, and that is the water provider, the Camino Real Regional Utility Authority. On February 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, yellow water again was being delivered to its customers, of the evidence that we have here from a resident in the area. Because of this ongoing issue, both Empowerment Congress and the New Mexico Environmental Law Center have chosen to make 5 demands of CRUA, and including we sent these demands to both the City of Sunland Park as well as to the County Commission because of the Joint Powers Agreement. You all are in agreement that this entity should exist. And those 5 demands include taking preventative measures so that yellow water doesn't occur anymore and is not being delivered to the customers and constituents of that area. The second is providing arsenic test strips for at-home use, again, to help build trust in the water that's being provided to those residents. Next is a clean water supply, which is actually a third-party, an outside third-party water being supplied to the residents when they're experiencing, especially when they're experiencing water like this. I would imagine to say that nobody would want to drink this water. Nobody should be expected to drink this water. Everybody in New Mexico, every single person deserves clean and safe drinking water. The next is a moratorium on the rate increases. There hasn't been any proposed as of yet. However, we're taking a preventative measure to say, a proactive measure to say, don't do anything until we can guarantee that this doesn't happen. And the final demand is that the CRUA board meeting is switched back to its old time at 5:30 p.m. Because it was switched during a special meeting that was called late last year. Little public notice was given, and yeah, we think this is definitely an injustice to the community that such things takes place. And actually, the last thing I'd like to add is that we'd really like to see Commissioner Gloria Gameros on the commission, on the board of CRUA, since that's her service area and those are her constituents. Thank you.
I'm gonna get ready. On my phone. That's why I waste time. Okay, yes, I am Jose Saldaña Jr. for the records. Yes, I've been attending these meetings. I am supporting the Power Empowerment Congress on those 5 demands. I'm here on behalf of the community. I've seen Susana Chaparro. I don't know if you remember my face. I've seen her in a couple of meetings. I'm here just talking on behalf of the community. Same thing, we've experienced this yellow water, and we've asked for questions, and no, we haven't been answered from CRUA or the city of Sunland Park. So we need your help. This is an emergency. Water is life. Without water, we do not live. There's no life. And yes, we've been having a lot of issues. Casinos, people have been consuming this water and nobody has been able to help us. I installed this water softener at my mom's house. 3 days, it's already yellow. And then a week later, a week and a half later, it's already slimy, algae. We need your guys' help immediately. The governor even proposed to us saying that she was gonna be able to help us out with this issue. We haven't seen her face. We haven't even heard from her. Nobody has been able to help us. They're more busy of building subdevelopments, growing marijuana, selling marijuana, but for water, there's nothing. Hopefully you can help Susana Chaparro this time, because we've been asking for your help too, and nobody has been able to help us. If we have to take it further up, then we're gonna follow and see where this issue, why can't you guys help us? The other thing is I'm spending $50 every month, basically every 3 weeks. It's pointless. I just bypassed it and took it off. It's pointless having this system on there. I go to my daughter's houses here in Cruces. She has the exact same system. No issues here. You can consume it. We have to serve. I'm helping people, elderly, animals, service animals. Everybody's being infected. Schools, everybody, restaurants in Sunland Park. This is very serious, and you guys haven't helped us out at all. Hopefully, you guys can help us. The other thing is, how are they reading water meters? The meters, how are they billing us? They just guesstimate because they don't go physically. There's 3 types of water meters. I'm an electrical engineer helping the community out, and I'm gonna continue helping them out. They are not going to the houses physically on the old residents, older houses, reading the actual meters. These are not the modern type that you just get data through internet, via internet. Thank you.
Good morning. I don't even know how to get this going, or this is my first attempt in 85 years to participate with government. I'm here to let you know, and I don't know if this is the right venue, the Brannigan Library in Las Cruces is infested, I guess the right word, with bed bugs. Bad affair. I came here to Las Cruces in 22, bought a new home, bought new furniture, was happy. About 7, 8 months ago, it started scratching here, scratching there. Consulted a friend who owns a hotel. He said, "You got bed bugs." I said, "What the hell are you talking about?" And it took him about a minute, and he had a couple here. We talked, and it came finally to me that I got the bed bugs at the Brannigan Library. I've been an avid reader for about 40, 50 years. I'll go to the library once every 2 weeks, pick up 5 or 6 books. I go to bed at night and read. The bed bugs in different sizes and eggs, I imagine, are in the books. I finally noticed after my friend brought it to my attention, I'm sitting at my table in the morning reading, and the little critters are running out. And I smash it with my thumb. And that is one way you could find out whether I'm here to blow smoke or whether there's something to my complaint. Because if you were to get a record of my books for the last 10 months or whatever, and have somebody go through, you will find at least 3 or 4 or 5 blood spots in each book that I had checked out. That's about it. I don't know what else. I'm asking for help, I guess. I don't want anything from you for me, but I would like somebody to follow up. Yeah, that's it. It's a health hazard. I've spent about $500 so far of my own money to try to get my house clean. I'm not doing too well, but I keep on trying every week to spray and spray and spray again. And I talked to the health department. I want to tell you that. They told me, hey, wrong place, and gave me a schedule of different officers or districts. I made a total of 5 phone calls, including the headquarters at Albuquerque, I believe. Talked to a woman for 2 or 3 minutes. She more or less told me, get out of here. Not my business. And an acquaintance suggested I come here. I don't know if I did right or wrong. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And sir, Brandy has 2 names and 2 email addresses and 2 phone numbers for you, to people at the city that can help you with this. We don't oversee Brannigan Library, but she has that for you, and that's the best people to contact.
Okay, I have one problem. I should have a hearing aid. I'm too stubborn.
Oh, Brandy
I
will
hope this lady will help me.
yell it at you.
Mr. Chair, excuse me, sir. Yeah, we didn't get your name, and could you sign the book, please?
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
you can't hear. Go ahead, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and County Commissioners. My name is Michael Potts, and I come to you with great concerns about the non-transparency of the county clerk's office in removing people from the Board of Voter Rolls and the flagrant violation of the Open Meetings Act in regards to the boards of voter registration. I've been particularly vigilant in the last couple of months to see when the first meeting of the Board of Voter Registration would be held. I looked in the Sun News every day and also the Bulletin when it was published and found that the board's meeting was never published in either of those publications. I had queried a board member around January 15th or so to find out if a meeting had been scheduled, and the reply I received said, and I quote, "Hello, Michael, there have been no meetings called. I will try to remember to let you know so you can attend. Be good." Now, waiting for a month, I then sent another query on February 28th at 10:39 to the same individual saying, "I'm sorry to bother you again, but has a meeting been set for the board to clear the voter rolls? Just curious." The response I received at 4:14 on the 28th was no, not yet. They did send an email announcing the meeting a month ago, but just as quickly they canceled the meeting and have heard nothing since. So I queried the county planning calendar on the 24th and 26th of February and the 1st of March and found no reference to a meeting on the county calendar. I then went to the county clerk's calendar and found that the clerk's office had, under their public announcements page on February 24th, let the public know that the board would meet on Thursday, February 27th at 9 o'clock. So either my contact was lying to me or I thought he was an honorable person, but there's something fishy there. So on the 27th, the board was to sign in on a sign sheet, be provided an instruction manual before the first meeting, and each member was to be given a paper copy of the removable voter list, which they would take home for review. Then on Thursday, March 6th, as per the county clerk's publication, they were to meet again to go over the voter removal list. Now, I was there at that time, along with the chairwoman of the Republican Party, Ms. Janice Williams. There was no meeting. We walked down to the clerk's office to inquire about the supposed open meeting and was told that the board, whose meeting had supposedly been canceled, met and miraculously reviewed 6,500 records on February 27th. This was announced by the county clerk's office on February 28th. The same day I messaged the board member and was told the meeting had been canceled and had heard nothing since. My question to you, and you need to discuss this amongst yourself, is why wasn't the publicly announced through the county clerk's office meetings held? And if the board did not meet, how could the voter rolls be cleared? And where was the agenda that, as per the Open Meetings Act, is supposed to be available 72 hours for the meeting? And last but not least, why isn't the clerk's office being truthful in what they're saying about these meetings? And why do they flagrantly violate the Open Meetings Act?
Thank you, sir. Your time has expired.
Thanks. So this is up to y'all to talk with there and see. And I have all the documentation here, so thank you. Appreciate you very much.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jose Plasencia, and I'm the lead campaign manager with Empowerment Congress. I've been canvassing all around through Sunland Park and talked to literally hundreds of people around the community. What they have told me is that none of the people there actually drink the water from the faucet. Most of these people have to buy bottled water. Some of these people have to resort to buying purifiers, which is very, very costly. Like the other gentleman, Mr. Saldana, said earlier, that it was costing them at least $50 per month. Now, some of these people have to even resort to even buying more expensive purifiers. This is something that is very bad for the community, and not only that, it hurts the people in their pockets. You're talking about constantly buying bottled water and all these other things to, drink just faucet water, which is practically unfair. I talked to a lot of people in the community, and they have told me that they have gotten a lot of rashes from the water from showering. Some women have lost their hair. Some people have gotten really sick, and some have been even hospitalized. And like I said, it's not fair for the people to not be able to have healthy water. And this is what I mentioned yesterday in the crew meeting, basically. But with all due respect, this is not fair at all. If we truly live in a democracy, there should be full transparency on the water quality. This is why I was asking them if they're constituents of the community and they live in Sunland Park, it should matter to them and to all the residents that live in Sunland Park. This is why it's very important. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment today? Thank you, sir. If you can just remember to sign the book to your left, please. Thank you. Okay, moving on. We do have commission input. If any member of the commission would like to give public input or commission input, which is public input. It's the same thing. Commissioners.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The first thing I'd like to mention is that the House Bill 396 that we tentatively supported in our discussion last week was actually tabled. As Representative Joanne Ferrari presented it to the board, and they had several questions which we tried to address. I think the main reason was they asked if I had support of the board, and I said yes. And they said that they in fact passed a resolution to support that, and I said no. And so they said, well, then it's not official, so therefore we'll table it for now. There are other things we can do which we can address in the future, but I just want to bring that to the board's attention. The other thing I'd like to mention is that per Commissioner Chaparro's request, I'm happy to let her take over the Spaceport Board, or my position on the Spaceport Board, as soon as she'd like to. Okay, so the board probably can take action on that in the next meeting. Thank you.
Okay, we can bring forth that resolution. Gloria, you're in the back while we're at it. Do you want to be put on the Crew board? Yep, she's shaking her head. Okay, so we will go ahead and bring back that resolution for the board appointments. I'm not sure if we'll bring it on the next meeting or the meeting after that, but Mr. Lopez and Ms. Weir, if you can please, if I don't remind you to put it on the agenda, if you can please remind me to put it on the agenda type of thing today. So we will definitely do that. Any other commission input? Go ahead.
Gracias, señor presidente. Quería acordarles ahora a todos que es la primera vez en tantos años que no hemos celebrado el mes de la historia de la mujer. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to say I'm saddened because it's the first time in many years we have not celebrated Women's History Month. And I too, as a commissioner, forgot, se me pasó la mente. Hoy día me gustaría celebrar a mi madre, a mi hermana, a mis amistades. I'd like to celebrate my mother, my sister, and my friends on whose shoulders I stand on. Mi madre vino de México con una educación de segundo grado. Ella y sus hermanas estuvieron aquí, mis tías Guadalupe Padilla Rostad, Teresa Padilla Enríquez. La trajeron aquí cuando era una jovencita, como fue la costumbre de nuestra familia traer persona por persona, prima por prima, hermana por hermana, tío por tío, tía por tía. I celebrate my aunts, Teresa Padilla Enríquez, Guadalupe Padilla Rostad, and the 5 Chaparro sisters who, sister by sister, brother by brother, cousin by cousin, aunt, uncle, brought us to the United States. And I am so proud of that. So I celebrate those people. I see former councilwoman Cassandra Gandara out there, and I celebrate her as well. I celebrate Commissioner Gameros as the woman here representing our commission, along with myself, of course, Carrie Niels, Deborah Weir, Susie Cordero, all the people that make this county go round. I celebrate Jamie, all of us, todas las mujeres aquí, quienes somos parte de la historia. En 1999 hubo una juez quien al leer la Constitución de Nuevo México dijo, y dice la Constitución como sigue, el derecho de cualquier ciudadano de votar, tener empleo o sentarse de jurado nunca será restringido, acortado, disminuido a causa de religión, raza, lenguaje o color o la inhabilidad de hablar, leer, escribir el idioma de inglés-español, excepto como pueda de otra manera ser prohibido por esta Constitución. And the translation is, no law shall abridge the right of the citizens to keep and bear arms. Pardon me, wrong one. I had this. The right of any citizen of the state, that's Article 7, Section 3, religious and racial equity protected. The right of any citizen of the state to vote, hold office, sit upon juries, shall never be restricted, abridged, or impaired on the account of race, religion, language, color, or the ability to speak, read, or write English or Spanish languages except as may be otherwise provided in this Constitution. So in 1999, there was a judge that allowed the first Spanish speakers to sit on a jury, 2 ladies from the Valley, from Mesquite and Vado. I was that judge. And today I exercise my right as an elected official, as per my right under the Constitution, para seguir adelante, hablando el español, expresándome en español, hablando con mis representantes y los residentes en español para tratar de hacer mi mejor esfuerzo. Entonces, para terminar, que viva la mujer, long live the women. Muchas gracias.
Any other commission comment? Okay, just a few things that I wanted to bring up that I think would benefit this commission when we look at how we're reporting back committee assignments, which I'm glad that we're bringing that up. So I kind of want to ask a question to the fellow commissioners and see where we want to go with this. So the last 2 years that I've been chair, I've always brought up the resolution for how the meetings are put together. We've always changed those. I want to know whether or not this commission would be in favor of putting a committee report back section on our BOCC meetings or on our work sessions. Because I think it is beneficial, and the reason being is that we don't really get the report backs on what, Animal Service is doing, MPO is doing, CRUA is doing, Spaceport Taxation Board is doing, and that information is never getting shared with the entire board. So when things come up or issues come up or we get public comment with issues that have been brought up to other boards, I feel like we're always a little behind and we don't know how to properly process things. So I brought this up in our agenda review a couple weeks ago, and I just want to bring it up to you. I'm going to put it on one of the two. Would you like to see it on the resolution for our BOCC meetings? So every BOCC meeting, we will have a portion where we do committee report backs, or would you like to see that as a standing item on our work sessions?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Vice Chair.
may I suggest that every quarter we have a list of certain committees that report? So sometimes the business in the committees is not as pertinent or as where it needs so much action. So if we can maybe go down the list and say, okay, these 3 committees are going to report this commission or this month, then the next committees are going to report at a BOCC meeting the next month.
So let me just clarify what I'm looking for. It's not them coming to us. It's since we all sit on our respective boards, it's us giving the updates. And it can be Animal Services met this month. We talked about X, Y, and Z. We're looking at this, that, and the other. The budget's looking good, whatever that is. But I think it needs to be every meeting, whether it's the work session or the BOCC meeting, because we do have certain, there was a point in time where Animal Services met 5 times in a month. So, I just think that we need to relay that information. And it doesn't have to be outside people coming in. It's the people that sit on it. So I know I asked that for it to be printed out. So I have it right in front of me, actually. So we do have even some individuals. We have our interim fire chief who sits on the local emergency planning committee. So when he joins us in meetings, he can report out when they meet and stuff like that. But once a quarter isn't enough. I personally don't believe. I think there's a lot that goes on in those meetings, and we need to get that information out to us and also for the people watching on YouTube. So I would ask that we do it either every BOCC meeting or at the work session is what I would prefer.
And Mr. Chair, and maybe I didn't express myself correctly. Having us report, I think, is a fabulous idea, and I agree to that. Some meetings only meet, and my intent was some committees only meet every 3 months.
Yeah.
And so having a report every month might not work for some committees, but, I'm open to having us report at every BOCC meeting.
Okay. That is the route that I want to go. Any other commissioner have a thought?
Mr. Chairman, I agree with having to report at every BOCC meeting as well. And those of us that have information, that's when we can share. If we don't, then we don't need to share during that time until we have information.
Okay, and I just got the thumbs up from Commissioner Reynolds. So next meeting, you'll see the resolution for how we structure our BOCC meetings back up. So we'll be dealing with that. So Deb and Stephen, if you can also make sure that we get Resolution 2025-15 back on. That's the resolution for committee appointments, and then Resolution whatever that number is for how we do our BOCC meetings, please. Cool. Any other board comments? Seeing none, we will move on to county elected official input.
Good morning, Chair Saldo Hernandez, Vice Chair Chaparro, Commissioners Reynolds, Sanchez, Gameros, Gina Eugenia Montoya Ortega, Assessor here at Doña County. No real new news, just still waiting on the veterans exemptions decision through legislation, as we are still going to use our May 1 as a send-out date for our notices of value, which normally would be April 1, but because of the legislation not passing yet or finalized yet, we need that extra time. Once again, just letting people know, if you have any questions about anything on your notices of value, we get questions even that they would go to the treasurers. If anybody has any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. We are here to serve. We're here all the time, every day, all day long, so please reach out. And once again, I would like to second Vice Chair Chaparro's words, y que viva las mujeres. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other county elected? Seeing none, we'll move on to staff input. If any member of staff.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask our Director of Facilities and Services to come up to recognize an individual who unfortunately is no longer with us. Robert.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Chair, Commissioners, I wanted to inform you of the passing of Mr. Ken Schuller, Vector Control Supervisor. Mr. Schuller was a great employee. He worked very hard in protecting the county of, dangerous vectors and other pests and rodents. He was an aspiring gemologist. He did a lot of rock hunting. For the short time I've known him, I got to say that he was a very interesting man, a great employee, and it was an honor working with him. And with that said, I'd like to please ask if we can have a moment of silence on his behalf. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chair, if I may,
Of course.
just to follow up on that, I'd like to say a few words. Ken was a true champion for public health and community education. His efforts had an impressive impact on mosquito control and awareness in Doña County. From educating young minds in schools to engaging the community at events like the Southern New Mexico State Fair, Ken's work clearly bridged generations. The creation of an educational mosquito coloring book shows his creative approach to outreach. And establishing the Gambusia Minnows program highlights his innovative thinking to combat mosquito populations in an environmentally friendly way. What a legacy of proactive and hands-on contributions to the community. It is inspiring to see how individuals like Ken made a significant difference in Doña County. He will be missed, and I'd like to thank Assistant County Manager Ms. Weir, who called me about his passing, and I know a lot of us are very saddened, and may he always be blessed, and I know he is where he is. I'm hoping that we can do a ceremony here at the county. I'm saddened about his passing, and I remember his contagious smile the more I thought about it. So, Ms. Weir, thank you for bringing that to my attention this weekend.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to kind of follow along with those comments. My first encounter with Ken was him coming over to OEM, very passionately looking for anything we could do to support his efforts at the fair. And he will absolutely have a lasting legacy here at the county. His has been one of the favorite, most missed questions for new employee orientation. Anita Skipper asks the question for new employees, do we as a county give fish away? And the answer is absolutely we do, and it's thanks to Ken's efforts to give away those mosquito larvae-eating fish. And that is absolutely going to be something that sticks around. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over now to Carrie Neal to provide you with an update.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, Madam Vice Chair, Commissioners, I have a brief update on the writ of mandamus. So I discussed this at the previous meeting that we had filed a request to the court that the court file a writ ordering the sheriff to commission the officers that had just graduated from the Dasso Academy. She filed a statement with the county clerk and with the court, which is what's required by statute, stating that she had commissioned all the officers. The court then found that the statement filed was sufficient to meet the requirements and held that the sheriff had complied with the writ, and so the court properly dismissed that action. If you recall, there was one cadet whose status was still in question. We believe that we have resolved that issue and are taking necessary steps to move forward with his employment. And finally, there have still been a few issues and questions, particularly regarding staffing issues at Dasso, as well as questions regarding the procedures for qualifying cadets for the academy. And we have also been served with another lawsuit and a notice of tort claim related to the actions of the sheriff. So that said, I do appreciate the commissioners agreeing to the external audit of Dasso. I believe that will help direct our discussions and help us to see where adjustments need to be made both in policy and in practice. I also wanted to let you all know that the sheriff did indicate that she's willing to work with the county manager's office, and we received a request from the undersheriff to meet. And I've offered dates for that meeting, but I haven't received a response yet. So I am hoping to meet with her later this week so that we can discuss the audit and how to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. And one last thing from me, and that is for those of you who have not seen it, in recognition of Women's History Month, Ariana Pata from our Public Information Office, she is our Public Safety PIO, put together a nice video recognizing women in leadership positions in our public safety departments. As you all know, that typically has been a very male-dominated area, and it really does celebrate the accomplishments of a lot of those people. So it is nice to see how much traction that has had in the community. And if you have not seen it yourself, go on to the PIO public safety pages and take a look. And Deb, unless there's anything else you can think of, then that is it for staff input today.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you for showing up in the front row and getting ready. But we are gonna take a really quick 7-minute break. We'll be back at 9:55. Okay? All making our way back up. It's 10:02 and we're back from our break. Sorry, everyone. It was a working break. Next up is our first presentation, which is our Crisis Triage Center update. We have our Director of HHS, Ms. Michael. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you, Commissioner. Good morning, everyone. Jamie Michael, County's Health and Human Services Department. I'm here today along with our partners from Summit Behavioral Health Care to provide you all with an update on the Crisis Triage Center. As you know, the county contracts and partners with Summit to operate the Crisis Triage Center with us. And I have Sandy Emanuel, who is the market CEO, and her team. So I will let her introduce her team and provide you with an update, and then we will be able to answer any questions. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yes, this just goes down or up, down. Got it.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Madam Vice Chair, Commissioners. Really excited to be here this time getting to present on what we're actually doing. Really happy to introduce Tom Ismond, our Executive Director, also RN, born and raised Las Cruces, and very passionate about the mental health community and the work that we're doing. And Sheba Babs is our Quality Manager, who we onboarded just a month ago, I believe. So really exciting, the things that we're doing. So I'll just jump into our presentation. As you know, the Crisis Triage Center is designed to provide immediate engagement, assessment, stabilization, and care coordination with individuals needing services that are in crisis, whether it's a mental health crisis or a substance use crisis. We are 24/7, adults 18 years and older. We opened on January 1 and at 7 a.m. on New Year's Day. Yes, we were all there, ready to go. And we have just jumped right in. We have served 161 residents in our community year to date, which is really an incredible number, and it makes me very proud and the team very proud of the care that we're providing. We have a no wrong door policy, so individuals that come to us, whether it's law enforcement drop-off, first responder drop-off, or just an individual coming to our door as a walk-in, does not get turned away. We figure out how to help them. If we're the appropriate place, we will take care of them there and treat them there during that time. And if we need to help them move on to another level of care or some other option that is more suitable to their immediate need, then that's what our team does. It is peer-led, which has also been very humbling for me to experience and watch how that peer process works. Individuals who have been through experiences, life experiences in their past and have overcome many things are really the perfect individuals to guide this process of treatment and care at this level. So our team includes nurses, mental health professionals, certified peer support specialists, behavioral health associates, as well as a discharge planner. And we did add a quality manager as we will be getting our Joint Commission certification. One of the only CTC in the state of New Mexico who will be obtaining this level of accreditation. And then, of course, our executive director is also an RN and has also worked a full shift. So graveyard, I might add, just Saturday night. Thank you, Tom. So, and then, of course, I'm the LCSW supervising the clinical staffs, the therapists for their licensure hours, those types of things. So that's kind of a fun little side note for us. I already talked about Mr. Tom. So what's exciting is we already have received our Medicaid number. We submitted that application on January 4th, right out of the gate. And we have received that number, so our managed care organization contracting is in process. And we are pending our Joint Commission survey. We should have that survey. It will be after March 31st. We're hoping for April, early May. They're behind in their initial certifications, but we have a good relationship with them. We've been working with them. We're hoping to get that solidified. And then we also have a healthcare authorities survey coming up. When you get your original operator's license, it's temporary for 120 days. They give you an opportunity to open, have already done service for individuals, and then they come in and do a survey, and then you're fully operating. So we are pending both of those surveys, so we have been fully engaged and fully busy. And thank you, Jamie, you and your team at the county, Robert and Justin, who's not here anymore, but just there's so much partnership and collaboration with the county that we just could not, it's really incredible to see how that works in real time to make these things happen for our community. Again, this is outdated because we submitted this back when it was due. So now we're at 161 guests. So January we had 69, February we ended at 75, and we're trending week over week, we're trending higher than the week before with our numbers, which is great. We have initiated right away a guest satisfaction survey for individuals to really help us know what is it that we need to work on, what do we need to improve. We have an 87% survey return rate. Our goal is 95%, but we are achieving 4.98 out of 5-star average for overall guest satisfaction. Really proud of that. You know, we're new, we're just starting out. We really want to hear from our guests. What could be better? Could the food be better? Is it too cold in here? Is the water hot enough? Like, how is our service? Were you given respect, dignity, care, those types of things? Those are the things that we're really focusing on. So where are referrals coming from? A large part of our referrals are coming from law enforcement. We have a high number of walk-in volume, community mental health agencies, a small number from emergency rooms, Doña County Detention Center, and the fire department as well. So it has been trending the same January, February, and month to date for March. And then our discharge disposition is as follows. A good percentage go back, the largest percentage go back to community mental health agencies. It's really important for us that we keep a continuum of care going for an individual, that we're not having somebody start all over again with another agency. If somebody was part of La Clinica's ACT team, for example, they come to us for stabilization, we communicate immediately with La Clinica's ACT team to ensure that there's a good continuum of care surrounding this individual's treatment. We've done a lot of community outreach, I think every single sheriff's department and every single LCPD shift briefing has been attended. Every single law enforcement officer and deputy in the county has my cell phone number. So, I mean, we're really accessible to the community when there's any kind of issues or problems, concerns. We have spent time with fire department, light MIH teams, and local behavioral health collaboratives. We've partnered up with or had meetings with behavioral health agencies, community mental health agencies, the Mesilla Valley Hospital, Peak, et cetera, for awareness. We also have a large campaign that we're working on in collaboration with the county for Facebook and social media type advertising and education and awareness. And that is really a super brief overview of where we are year to date. It's really exciting. I'm looking forward to serving more individuals in our community and growing our program. We have been fully staffed from the beginning. We remain fully staffed now, and it's been really a good thing. And thank you for your support. Any questions?
Thank you. And congrats on being fully staffed. That's always very excited. Commissioners.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Vice Chair.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Tom. We go back a bit, a mere couple of years. But I'm so excited that you're fully staffed, and I'm so excited that we're open again. But I do have a question regarding the referrals by law enforcement. So do you have an approximate number? Because I'm thinking of LCPD, the sheriff, Anthony, and Sunland Park. Do we have an approximate number of how many referrals or percentages of referrals per law enforcement agency? And I don't know if we're going all the way to Hatch.
Mr. Chair, Madam Vice Chair, I actually do have those percentages, and we have not had any from Hatch. We have had individuals from we had an individual from Silver City that was admitted, and we had an individual from Otero County that was admitted, not by law enforcement. However, they came via the emergency room system. But our data for law enforcement, the percentage is at, oh, of course, this is not color, so is at 38%. And the breakdown that I'm guessing now, on the breakdown between LCPD and DASO, is probably 80% LCPD, and the remainder DASO. And within that data, if you remember, there were discussions about protective custody, involuntary, voluntary. We are taking both. We've had probably a dozen involuntary protective custody, the majority of those being from LCPD, two that I'm remembering that were from DASO. And the numbers that I'm just giving now are guesses off the top of my head.
And so are we getting any referrals from the southern part of the valley, Sunland Park, Police Department, Anthony Police Department? Are we working with those departments as well?
So it's in our plan to do more community outreach in those areas. Jamie and I met about that a couple of weeks ago to get our team in front of and with the appropriate individuals to do that outreach, but we have not at this time had any from the southern part.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I don't no question. I just want to say congratulations to you and your team. And I think the 87% return on the evaluations is really good to have that information and feedback so we can determine whether we're still continuing to provide the care that's needed and to measure what we're doing. And I think it's fantastic. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I may, just a quick question so we can make sure that as we message this out and as people ask questions that we're speaking accurately. Out of the 161 people you mentioned, are those discrete individuals or are those visits or are those both?
Those are actual individual admissions.
Okay, so
Yes.
so those are
Individuals.
admissions.
Correct.
Okay. Do we know, can you give us just an approximation? Are there very many people coming back in this last 2.5 months?
There are, I want to say 12 in that group that have repeat.
Okay.
Correct. And then those are the individuals that we work extra hard with, the community partners, to have a plan that is a more robust plan to prevent the need for readmission in a short amount of time.
That's perfect. Thank you for that because it's nice to see that they are willing to come back. They
Yes.
see it as a resource. So
It's a
thank you.
safe place for sure. Thank you.
Commissioner Reynolds.
Sorry, there's something I did forget to say, and that is that I think the fact that you have a good discharge plan is actually significant to the success. And I think that's something that we didn't quite have all together with the last organization. And I think your plan to make sure and hold their hand, get them out to surrounding other services after visiting you, I think is really a key to the success of what you're doing. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, I think that's it. I'm just very excited that you're here today. Congratulations on the success. Hopefully we can continually help you build on that success.
Thank you.
I'm proud of the work that you're doing. I think your team is absolutely the right people to be here serving our community. And, I'm actually proud of where the CTC is right now. I'm proud that the community looks at it as a safe place. And I just want to say thank you again. I really am. And Jamie, there might be tears in my eyes right now. I'm not sure, but it's just something that our community really needed, and it was definitely a hard undertaking. And I just want to say thank you for taking it on and meeting the challenge. And Stephen, we need little CTC challenge coins.
Yes.
Just saying it.
I'll design one.
Yeah, no, I just thought about that. But thank you so much again, and I really do appreciate you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. We will be back each quarter to provide an update. But in between times, if you have any questions, please let me know. And if there's any information that you did not see in this presentation that you would like to see next quarter, please let us know that as well. Thank you.
We can definitely get that to you. Thank you. Okay, next up we have our FY25 mid-year budget update. And we have Ozma. Welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners. Today we would be presenting the FY25 mid-year update. So our fiscal year began in July 2024 and June 30th, 2025 would be the end of FY25. We are presenting numbers as of December 31st, 2024, when we were 6 months into our fiscal year. So on the first slide, you would see the county-wide revenues. This includes both restricted, unrestricted funds. The first line item, tax revenues, includes GRT, property taxes, and other tax revenues. So at that point, on December 31st, for property taxes, we had only received 23% because the first half tax postings occurred in January. So if we take January into account, we would have been at 64% of budget. So overall, for tax revenue, we were at 40% as of December 31st, but taking January into account, we would be over 60%. The next revenue, service revenues, includes the care of prisoners, which was at 57%. Some of the other revenues were wastewater fee, franchise, motor vehicle fleet, and other services revenues. We were at 47%, close to the 50% mark. The other revenues here are the fire and EMS distributions, as well as licenses, permit, penalties, lease and rental fee. We were at 63%. The highest is the investment revenue. We had budgeted it at 3.6%, but by December, we had budgeted at 3 million, but by December we had received 3.6 million. So we already exceeded the budget by mid-year. The grants here are adjusted as we receive new grants throughout the fiscal year. So that's what our adjusted budget is. And some of them are multi-year awards. The fair value adjustment is an accounting entry. It doesn't impact the actual numbers, actual gains or losses. So if we take out grants and fair value, as of mid-year, it's showing that we were at 43% in revenues. If we take the January property tax into account, we would actually be at 62%. So we are on track to receive all the revenues or exceed the revenues that we had budgeted for FY25. The next slide shows just the general fund revenues, which is part of all the revenues. So again, in tax revenue, we have GRT, property tax, and other revenues. Property taxes came in January, taking that into account. Instead of 36%, we would be at 64% on tax revenues. Service revenues in general fund are, again, the franchise fee, motor vehicle fee, clerks, admin fee. We were at 46%. The other revenues are penalty, interest, license fee, election reimbursements. We were at 47%. And investment revenues, we exceeded our budget of 1.6 million. We received 1.9 million by mid-year. The grants here is actually a misposting, which we have corrected. So ARPA funds were posted to general fund, 1.6 million, which have been moved out to the grants revenue, and the fair value adjustment is again an accounting entry. So taking grants and fair value out, we were at 38% as of mid-year, but taking January into account, we would have been at 64%. Next, we would move on to county-wide expenditures as of mid-year. So this again includes all funds for the county. So the personnel costs are at 49%. We had 14 pay periods post in the first 6 months instead of 13, which we typically do, because of which we are at 49%. Else we would have been at 46% because of some vacancies. Operating costs, we are at 38%. Usually we see more expenses in the second half of the year. Debt service for geo bonds and wastewater, we were at 52%. Capital outlay, this includes both restricted and unrestricted funds. Some of the large projects we have are for fire rescue, fleet, roads, detention, flood, and facilities. And we would be going over projects in the upcoming slides too. Grants, here we've been adjusting the grants as we receive them. And if we take out grants and capital outlay on operations, we were at 43% by mid-year, below the 50% mark. These are only the general fund expenditures. Again, personnel is at 48% because we had 14 pay periods post. With 13, it would have been at 45%. Operating costs are at 41%. Capital outlay, we would be going over when we go over the departmental budgets, and grants under general fund are the OEM and illegal dumping, and then there is that ARPA misposting, which was corrected in January, which shows, because of which the numbers look very high. So these are the general fund departments. So we're looking at the operations by department. So the first column has the department name, then we have the adjusted budget, then how much they had spent as of December 31st, and the last column shows the percentage. So most of them are close to 50%. There are some which are a bit higher or lower. So county commissioners was at 57%. The reason being that membership costs are paid upfront at the beginning of the year. Those includes Transit District, New Mexico Association of Counties, Rio Grande Council of Governments, National Association of Counties. So because they were paid in the first half of the fiscal year, it's higher than 50%. County assessor is at 39%. The clerks is at 55% because of the timing of elections. They incurred more costs in the first half of the year. County treasurer is at 46%. Probate judge at 36%. It's a smaller department. They have the operating costs have been lower in the first half of the year. Auditor at 57%. County manager at 40%. There is some funding in professional services that they would be using in the second half of the year. Public information is at 45. Constituent services was at 57. Again, they had to incur costs for data systems related in the first half of the fiscal year. Finance and purchasing was at 46%. Fire at 49%. Facilities at 43%. IT is at 41%. They would have their software license renewals in the second half of the year. Legal is at 48%, HR at 50%, community development at 47% at mid-year. Risk is only at 15%, the reason being that they would pay out the larger cost, general liability insurance and law enforcement liability in the second half of the fiscal year. County sheriffs is at 44%, animal control at 42%. Vector is slightly higher at 67%. Again, they had to purchase insecticides at the beginning of the fiscal year. Fairgrounds is at 59%. They had higher grounds maintenance expense in the first half of the year. Utilities is at 38% due to vacancies. Waste exchange is at 17%. And here also there have been vacancies. So the salary and benefits, they used only 21% in the first half of the year. External agencies is at 58%. It's slightly higher because the transit district is paid 22% upfront at the beginning of the year. Also, the board had approved additional capital of $110,000 and operations $200,000 for SCRTD. The other external agencies are Spay and Neuter, Food Resiliency, Movida, Film Blast Cruises, Hatch Library, County Extension, Animal Services, and MRFTA Metro Narcotics. OEM initiatives is at 80%. This was for community CPR, first aid, AED, and Stop the Bleed program. Non-departmental was at 74%. Again, that includes solid waste costs. So with our MOA with South Central Solid Waste Authority, we paid out at the beginning of the year, we had paid $1.7 million. The other expenses here are related to environmental fund, utilities, GRT admin fee, emergency fund, and HHS healthcare grant. So the other general fund, capital and grant departments, So these are the capital for county clerk. It was the absentee ballet sorter and lift gate purchase, so they're at 97%. County managers, 100% is the BOCC TV upgrades, which was completed. Fire rescue has not used the funds. They were budgeted for water tender. Facilities has various projects, which includes the HVAC, various parks, LED lights, food pantry, transitional housing, fitness equipment. IT also has several projects budgeted under capital, which includes community center security upgrades, data power project, network refresh, microwave at fairgrounds, radio programming. Community development had to complete the software project. Risk management had security film laminate, they're at 94%. The sheriffs used their funding. It was crime scene unit, handheld radios, and evaporative cooler fleet garage. Animal control has funding for construction project and equipment related to for RV. Vector control used it for their UTV replacement. Fairgrounds has funding for improvement and a mobile home. Waste exchange used it for John Deere tractor loader. OEM, this is a misposting for data equipment, which would be moved out of grants or capital. Under grants, again, we had 1.6 million for ARPA, which was moved out from general fund. Community development, there are various for illegal dumping grants. The sheriff's is also not applicable. We are reclassifying it. For OEM, it's at 44%. The reason OEM is in grants is the way Workday is set up, because it's funded through different sources. So they have capital budgeted for forklift and trailer, mobile repeaters, and all hazard disaster shelter project. The non-general fund, other department operations, we have roads and engineering at 41%, detention at 49%, fire excise at 35%. So flood commission is at 25%, HHS health fund at 40% as of midyear. The crisis triage, it's showing here as 2%, but there were pending invoices for payment, which were paid out in January. Healthcare assistance fund at 59%, assessors fund at 41%, Jetport was exactly at 50%, utilities was at 34%. Their debt services were lower as of midyear. Fleet was at 47%, law enforcement protection fund at 43%, fire and EMS distribution is at 31%. If they have any balance left, it would be carried over to the next fiscal year. Clerks restricted fund is at 27%. They use it for equipment, training, vehicles. Treasurer's fee was at 43%, and debt service fund at 61%, which is for the GEO bonds as well as the NMFA wastewater and detention project. So other items here include the ERP or Workday system, which was funded out of LATCF. We also have USDA contract for farm and ranch, opioid fund, spaceport fund, water and sanitation GRT. So moving on to the other departmental capital expenditures, which are non-general fund. So these are for roads and engineering. They had used up to 8%. They had money to replace and purchase the dump truck. For detention center, there are various projects, which include the water control, slider, cell locks, boiler replacement, kitchen equipment, adult parking, juvenile floor refinishing, break room remodel, new desks, and stainless steel shower renovations. From the detention corrections, they had budgeted for a juvenile RFID and HVAC replacement. Fire excise, there is money for fire station remodels, equipment, and vehicle. In flood commission, there are various flood control projects, equipment, and Ford pickup. For HHS Health Fund, 5,000 is for the safe haven box. The crisis triage fund has money for exterior fence and access gate. Jetport for their taxi line expansion. Utilities has funding for electrical feeder, alarm upgrades, improvement projects. Fleet has for vehicle replacements, equipment and charging stations. Law Enforcement Protection Fund has money budgeted for equipment, vehicles, and communication equipment. And then the fire and EMS distribution is for various communication equipment and construction costs. The OEM building funding coming out of LATCF, the Local Assistance Tribal Consistency Fund, is 2.3 million. The total project estimate is 13.9 million. The next item we have in capital is OEM Capital Project Fund. That's 2.9 million coming out of county resources. Then we have the roads initiative, then the election warehouse, 1.3 million set aside from county resources. The other items here are some reclassifications that would be done in Workday. So this is our last slide for the presentation. We are showing a recap of how the funding came in the first half of the fiscal year. So we started our fiscal year with a beginning balance of 205 million. The revenues earned till December 31st were 118 million, and expenses were 127 million. There were adjustments done, the important one being trust and agency. So that's money which we hold to give out to other municipalities or school districts, such as property taxes. So that was a higher number as of year end, which resulted in ending cash balance of 265 million. If we look at the breakdown, the unrestricted balance was 72.8 million, restricted was 48.9 million, and then, designated was 48.9, and restricted is 144, which includes this trust and agency as well, which has to be given out. So this brings us to an end of the presentation. Please let us know if you have questions.
Thank you so much for providing this information today. Commissioners, any questions? I'm not seeing any. If you do have any and you relook at the packet in our agenda, if you have any questions, just if you'll email them over to Ozma for answers. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, we do have the approval of the minutes, which are from February 25th, and the work session minutes from March 4th. Commissioners, do we have a motion to approve both sets of minutes?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Reynolds.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gametos. Comments, questions? Seeing none, Brandy, roll call, please.
Commissioner Gametos,
Yes.
Commissioner Reynolds,
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez, Vice Chair Chaparro,
Yes.
Chair Shaljo Hernandez.
Yes. Motion carries, minutes are approved. Okay. Next up, we do have approvals. The first approval is the intent to publish Code of Conduct and Ordinance, revising ordinance number 350-2024 relating to the county's Code of Conduct. And we do have our interim county attorney, Carrie Neal, here. Welcome. Thanks for hanging out.
Yes, so, Mr. Chair, Madam Vice Chair, Commissioners, this is a revised code of conduct that the board has been discussing for quite some time. We actually have Ben Young here, who has been helping the board with this prior to my coming to the county. And so we are both available for questions on this, but Ben's firm has been working on revising the code of conduct to fit our needs as requested previously by the board. And then I made some further changes and to ensure that it conformed to kind of our practices and procedures. And at this point, we just need to publish the code of conduct for 30 days and get comment back on that so that we can finalize this revised code.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And thank you for joining us, Mr. Young. Commissioners, hopefully you've reviewed this and you will have questions or comments, concerns. Once again, this is just the publication of this ordinance. So you will have 30 days to digest. And in those 30 days, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please direct them to the county manager and he can get those answers from us or for us from either Ms. Neal or Mr. Young. But if you have no comments, questions, seeing none, okay. I believe we do have a person giving public comment. If you want to come up, you'll have 3 minutes. And again, this is just on the publication. If you're wanting to talk on the substance, you can do that through email and or before we approve it or during the meeting on April 9th. But this is just on the conversation of publication.
I just want to say that the statutes of limitations need to be revised. It used to be 1 year, and now you've shortened it to 6 months, which means I've lost the right to bring a charge that happened about 6 months ago. So you need to grandfather in what was done last fall that can be addressed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Seeing none, Brandy, if you'll roll call us on the intent to publish.
I'm sorry, I'm missing a motion.
Oh,
So moved.
thank you.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Vice Chair Chapato and a second by Commissioner Gametos. Go ahead, Brandy.
Okay. Commissioner Gametos.
Yes.
Commissioner Reynolds.
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez. Vice Chair Chaparro.
Yes.
Chair Shaljo Hernandez.
Yes, motion carries. Okay, next up, we do have scope of external audit. And we do have a presentation on this one from our internal auditor, Mr. Budden. I don't believe this needs it's just a is this just a presentation?
It is.
It is asking for board action to direct how you want the audit of DASO to occur. So it is on for full approval. However, the board can elect not to give direction to the internal auditor and postpone it to another time. That is the board's decision. But for him to be able to proceed, he will need some kind of guidance.
Okay.
Hello, Mr. Chair, Vice Chair, Board of County Commissioners. My name is Ernest Budden. I'm your internal auditor. And I wanted to share some information with you. Well, senior level management asked me to share some information with you. If you are considering or you're considering going forward with an external audit, as your resident auditor, I would definitely want to arm you with some information that I think would be vital for you to consider as you go forward. And of course, I'll have a question side at the end, but you may interject at any time and if you want me to clarify something. So today I wanted to cover just make you familiar with or remind you of some of the types of audits that are available for you, the importance of setting audit objectives, which goes into setting the audit scope. And then if you're looking at of course, an external firm, you want to look at some qualifications or areas of expertise that you want to take a look at or consider. And so you should have a printout there with quite a few note pages that has a host of different audits. Some of the main ones, especially the ones that I cover here at the county, your compliance audit is going to take a look at strictly if a department or a division is in compliance with the governing laws or regulations or policies for the particular actions that they're taking. You're already familiar with our financial audits that happen each year, where they examine the financial records for accuracy and proper accounting. When we look at operational audits, we're looking at the efficiency and effectiveness of operations. Is there a better way? Are we doing it the same way just because that's how we always done it? Or in other words, are we using technology to work for us and we can do it more efficiently? So those things are examined. And then my favorite, which is a performance audit, I see that as all in capturing. So we'll look at efficiency and effectiveness of operations. And if that involves looking at some financial transactions, I can do that as well when I'm performing my audits. And also I may look at compliance while doing a performance audit to see, hey, what are the rules that govern this particular area or these actions, and are we in compliance with those rules? And also, are the rules even adequate? So some of the things that you want to take a look at. So most of my audits are performance audits, but they're more limited in scope, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Okay, when you definitely want to, I would implore you to set your audit objectives, which is basically, what do I want to get out of an external audit? What do I want them to tell me? What do I want a consulting firm to make me aware of? Are we looking at internal controls? Are we looking at financial accuracy, operations? Are there best practices? And so there may be several objectives that you want to consider, that you want to make clear, which will lead into the scope of your audit. And we'll get into some examples on the next slide of some of the objectives that the board may want to set in commissioning an external audit. And these are but examples, but if we're looking at, say, staffing, do you want the external auditor, maybe one of your objectives is to look, I want them to review compliance with policies when it comes to staffing, any procedures or statutes, are we following industry best practices when it comes to staffing? That's an example of what you want to look at. Look at, say, if it was in public safety, the hiring standards being followed. When you're looking at another objective, for example, you may want the consulting firm to evaluate staffing actions for timeliness. Is Department B communicating or getting back to Department A in a timely manner? Are they giving them the information they're needing? Is something sitting in the queue for 2 to 3 days because there's not a backup in Department B to get back to them? And so these are things that would speak to, are we making our deadlines, if that's an area that you wanted to look at. All of these, like I said, are just samples and examples of some of the things that I've looked at and that you may want to consider when you're looking at an external audit firm. Another example, determining best practices have been established, being followed. Medical records, psychological evaluations, is there limited access? Is there a need to know access? Are those records secured? Access whether complaints of unfair work practices, for example, are policies being taken care of? Are they being followed? Is corrective action being taken care of? Is it being taken care of in a timely manner? So those are some of the things that would come under that one objective. If you were naming that, for example, as one of your objectives. And then how do you handle corrective actions? Is there a quality improvement plan? Is that what's normally in place to deal with this particular action? And this leads into the importance of your scope. So your scope is built off of the different objectives that you stated or you've made clear to your consulting firm. You want to know A, B, C, and D. Okay, so now you should set some parameters for that consulting firm. I want to know the actions that occurred in this department or in this division for fiscal year FY23, fiscal year 22, I want you to look at these particular functions and these processes, and that gives them limits so it doesn't have what we call audit creep. Audit creep comes in if I'm doing an inventory audit, and then all of a sudden I'm doing audits over here on finances, and then I'm doing audits over here, so I need to have the scope already set. You set my parameters, and this is what I need to look at, and that's what the consulting firm would want to know. Lack of better terminology, how deep in the weeds do you want me to go in this area? Yeah. As an example, once the scope is set, you'll have language such as this. It's a performance audit. We're looking at the evaluated effectiveness and efficiency of. We're going to access policies. We're going to examine programs and processes. We're going to focus on the period of. This will include reviews of program documentation, financial records. This will also include an analysis of. So this is some of the language that's going to come out of setting the scope. Now, once you let an experienced firm know what you're looking for, they're going to help you with that. So it's good to have some things in place, but you don't have to have everything as a final product, because they may say, hey, when we look at A, B, C, and D, E is also important. When you look at this particular industry, you should consider that. And so they'll give you that feedback, but you want to have pretty much in mind where you want to go with the audit. Some things to keep in mind, perhaps whether the board wants to appoint the consulting firm themselves, or whether they want to select a committee to appoint that firm. A committee of SMEs, your subject matter experts in different areas. Depends on how you want to go forward with it. Do you want input from the stakeholders that you will be auditing, or only from external stakeholders? And then, of course, you want to consider the expertise of the consulting firm that you're dealing with. If it's public safety, do they have a background? Do they have expertise in that particular area, for example? If it's finance, do they have CPAs on staff? Do they have that in their repertoire? And then, of course, you need to consider the primary versus secondary departments or divisions involved. Now, this is very important because, as you look at my next slide, look at number 2 on that first bullet, time requirements for departments involved. So when I go into a department, for example, I go into facilities and services. No, I'm not picking on you guys, but if I go into that department and I'm looking at everything, then that's going to involve, hey, they have, don't they have the community centers? Well, yes, that's housed by, and you have HHS involved. So I might talk to HHS. Oh, they use grant money, so there's an audits and compliance specialist on hand. I want to see what she knows. She's a SME. She deals with some of the grants that they deal with. I'll talk to that person. I may talk to safety about injuries. I may talk to risk about driving habits or accidents. So all this to say that if you're looking at a particular department, please consider if there are other moving parts. In other words, is there an external audit already going on? The detention center and both the sheriff's office, for example, in talking about public safety, they both got certified. So they don't just get that certification and keep it forever and ever, amen. They have to get recertified or get looked at, and that's a form of an external audit. Is that going on? So you want to look at the timing of your audit as well. Yeah. Of course, there's always budget considerations. Don't see our finance person here, but I'm sure he's listening intently, our budget person. So consider the costs. And also you want to know about your follow-up provisions and costs to gauge progress. When I went into community development a few years back, they already had an efficiency review conducted. So I took the information that was already there and I did the follow-up and said, okay, we already had an expert that did this work. Why reinvent the wheel? Let's see how we've done on progress. And I could use that report to go forward. Yeah. There are vetting questions, of course, you want for that particular audit firm that you decide to get. And I know you have the notes pages that goes into their understanding. Let's say if it's public safety, their understanding of public safety. If it's finance, their understanding of finance. Perhaps feedback from people that have already been audited, that already use their services. Are they happy? What's their reputation? Things of that nature you want to be mindful of. And of course, specifying your audit standards, I'll use the Institute of Internal Auditing Standards versus the American Institute of CPAs. And you take a look at some of the differences there. So American Institute of CPAs, they'll let finance know, hey, there's an unqualified opinion. We didn't really find any issues in your finance, whereas financial records, whereas the Institute of Internal Auditors will ask me to go into the weeds a bit more. They tell me about the condition. This is what exists, the effect. So what? What's the big deal that that exists? Well, this is the criterion, what should exist. Here's what's causing it, and here's some recommendations to improve it. And so that's why I do conduct my audits under the Institute of Internal Auditing Standards. And so it's just knowing, having a good idea of what kind of product you want out of that. And you can see many samples of my audit report online, of course. And assistant county manager there was talking about audit directive earlier. A directive may read as such. And that's just a sample directive. Use the Sheriff's Department as an example, but this is kind of like what your directive would read like. But I would implore the board to definitely do your due diligence, so you can set those, because once you kind of put that out, yes, your objectives, here's what we want to know, that's gospel. We as staff, management directs us and we run with it and try to get you the product that you're looking for. And then that, like I say, that consulting firm is also going to be able to give input, but they'll need some direction, just basically. And I know there are questions.
Thank you, sir. Commissioners, questions, comments, thoughts? Yeah, Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ernest, that's a lot of information and a lot of points to cover. And as I was writing, I believe that my first question really is in regards, are you aware of any external auditing companies that have the expertise in public safety that are maybe in New Mexico, surrounding areas?
So this
are we going to have to go on a nationwide search?
So, Mr. Chair, Vice Chair, that's a very good question. So I do have to acknowledge and thank upper management for giving me some, giving me a little bit of guidance as I had questions here. I did reach out to the city, and there were a couple of firms that were recommended, that were suggested, and even if these firms do not have the expertise you're looking for, they would know other firms that do. And so my counterpart, the head of auditing there at the city, was helpful there. But right off the cuff, no, I'm not, I don't know. This particular one is a great one to recommend, so we'd have to do a little search on that, as well as what their fees would be, as well as a time frame and things of that nature. So once again, due diligence is definitely encouraged.
You're putting it back on us. Thank you.
So, and also, like I said, I thank senior level management for giving feedback, because this is actually the watered down version. Yeah, this is the. I know I was going to turn you all into internal auditors if I could. So thank you all, for Deb and Stephen, for keeping me on the right track there.
Thank you. Commissioners, any other questions, comments, thoughts? Yes, Commissioner Reynolds.
Yes, I have a note from one of my constituents that has a question, and I'm just going to read it if it's okay with the board.
Sure.
My constituent, Roberta Henry, says $75,000. This information is likely to not include two facts. Number one, as a law enforcement agency and CALEA accredited, we undergo about 60 types of audits yearly, and those outcomes are available to the public, including the BOCC, if they only they would ask. Number two, her comment is that New Mexico Association of Counties requires any request for a special audit of an agency to be sent to the state auditor. In other words, an unbiased third party has to be notified of this intention. And then that's just a document. She basically is a quoted document, part of it. And then the last part is she says, have you guys reviewed these audits? If not, why not? Why spend tax dollars if it's already been done? And do you think money is missing or is illegally spent? That's just her comment.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Reynolds, a very good point. Once again, I say the due diligence, what do we already have? I gave you the example when I went into community development. I already had a community review. I could go off of that. So what already exists, of course, I've done a hiring process inquiry a few years ago on the public safety officers, on 3 of them. So that information exists as well. And so that will also help you set your objectives like, hey, we know this and that. What we don't know is X and Y, for example.
I'm happy to share this with legal so that you can review this and make it a public record. Thank you. And I have no other questions myself. That's just questions from a constituent.
Okay.
Clear as mud.
Clear as mud. Commissioners, any other thoughts? So Ernest, can you just go back to the slide where you gave us that wonderful quoted paragraph as the sample directive? Yeah.
Okay.
So you're asking us to pick an audit, any audit, of the Doña County Sheriff's Department. And the selection of the external auditor will be performed by someone.
So,
okay.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is a pretty good example of if you all were ready to go forward today, I would think this would be an example of a sample of what a directive would look like. So not sure, like I said, with the information I shared, if you're ready to go forward today, but a sample, because we have a sheriff's office, not necessarily a sheriff's department. So it was just meant to be an example.
So, Commissioners, do you have any, so personally, I'm looking at this and I know after I suggested that wonderful audit, and going over the definitions of all the audits that you have highlighted for us, I would definitely think a compliance audit and a operational audit would be a really great place to start.
Okay.
What I would recommend is somehow we come up with a new audit that includes those two and we name it the Chris audit. So, Commissioners, any thought on that? And just compliance audit, these focus on whether the organization is complying with relevant laws, regulations, policies, and procedures. Operational audit, these look at the efficiency and effectiveness of operations and processes aiming to improve performance, which is exactly what we kind of aim to do with my comment. But if you all want to go a different way, let me know.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Vice Chair.
Thank you. I'm looking at page 3 and there's 2 page 3s.
There is 2 page 3s. It's
So,
very weird.
Look at both page 3s.
Okay.
I tend to agree with the compliance audit, number 1. I also like the financial audit because I know that there have been allegations of some missing accounting reports where monies are going. Safety audits are very important to me regarding policies, procedures, and compliance with safety regulations. I've also had complaints in my district about reporting to people that need help. Forensic audit to detect, investigate fraud, corruption, and other irregularities within the organization. And I'd really like the health checkup for the organization's operations and activities. That way we can help identify improvement, different processes, and to make sure that the Sheriff's Department's on the right track to meet the goals that the county needs and the residents need for public safety.
So, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairperson, what I want to make you aware of, this is pretty much giving you some background. It's pretty much like a buffet. You can have exactly what you want. You don't have to have just this one type of audit, just that one. You can mix in what you want with that consulting firm. This was just to clarify some things. Yeah, you just said, hey, I want an audit, will include, and these are my objectives, forensics, my objectives, financial. So it's up to you to actually label those out. You're not pigeonholed, so to speak, into just one, and that's it.
And Ernest, I think you can get 5 different answers from all of us, but that's what I'm really looking at least in my opinion. It's what I've mentioned. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Gometos?
so my little 2 cents here. I agree with the compliance audit and the operational audit as well. I like the objective 1, 2, 3, and 4 on page 5 and 6. Pretty much you've laid out a really great presentation here into what to ask and what to look for. So I'm pretty impressed with that, and I think, I agree with the packet that we got, pretty much.
Thank you, Commissioner.
So that's all I have to say, thanks.
Okay. Okay. So, does anyone have a thought on how to give direction and move forward?
Mr. Chairman, I have, if I may, have a question. So, Ernest, is it possible to incorporate all your suggestions in the audit?
It is, Madam Vice Chair. It's not a problem. It's your audit. You're paying that auditing firm. This was just to give you some background information. And like I said, the assistant county managers were very good with having me tailor it down so it wouldn't be like a dissertation and I'm up here. Yeah. So you sure can.
Thank you. So, Mr. Chair, I'd like to move to that the Board of County Commissioners directs the internal auditor to contract with an external audit firm to conduct an external audit to include the packet submitted by Ms. Redden, and the selection of the internal auditor will be performed by whomever consulting firm is selected after an RFP is submitted. And the external auditor will report to the internal auditor, BOCC chair, vice chair, and the BOCC authorizes the budget officer to allocate funds from the county reserves for, I'm trying to find the wording, not up to $75,000 for this purpose, and authorizes the county manager to sign any necessary documents relating to the contracting. And if it is more than $75,000, then it should be brought back before the BOCC.
Is there a particular department? We're looking for this department then? DASO, is that what we're presuming?
Oh, to audit the Doña County Sheriff's Department.
Offices.
Thank you.
Sounds like a good directive. Any other thoughts, commissioners?
I think you've got a motion, so you need a second.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Reynolds?
I think that based on the comment that was made by my constituent, Roberta Henry, we might want to investigate what she's pointed out about working with the state auditor and the New Mexico Association of Counties, and to see if we are in fact authorized to do that before we pass a motion to instruct it.
Yeah, I've been actually thinking about that. To be honest with you, I think that this is considered an internal audit that we are performing about an internal department of Doña County. Thoughts?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, so I don't know if you were, you may recall that when it comes to DASO, that before she was sheriff steward, she was chem steward, and she was on my initial internal audit advisory committee. And so to eliminate any operation of bias, the external audit would be is definitely advisable, especially looking at an audit with volume.
Yep.
So I definitely agree with that. As for looking at the state auditors, what they have already, that's definitely advisable. And it doesn't have to be just the internal auditor. If you have other SMEs, subject matter expert, that you want to be on a committee to select, in that selection, you're more than welcome. That was just a sample that was written up. But you can appoint Department Head X, ACM B, it's up to you all.
Okay.
And Mr. Chair, I have a question regarding your comment and Commissioner Reynolds' comment. Under the state statute, and I don't have it in front of me, but am I correct, Assistant County Manager Lopez, that it does not necessarily need to go to the state auditor, but that this board has the ability to hire an external auditor? And you know, we can take into account whatever other tools we have to commence so that we don't have to restart everything. But, you know, there's been internal audits that we can commence with, but if I can have your opinion, please.
So with the caveat that this is not a legal opinion, we have the person who can give that next to me. It is my understanding that the reference that Commissioner Reynolds read from a constituent mirrors a posting by the sheriff herself, and that she actually uses the initials NMAC, which is the New Mexico Administrative Code, which would apply to state agencies and therefore would not restrict the authority of the Board of County Commissioners to request an internal audit, an audit of county departments that would be within your purview. And therefore, I do not believe that anything in the NMAC regarding notifying the state auditor would trigger at this time unless there was a finding that required reporting to the state auditor. But I'll turn to our attorney and our auditor, who probably have much better detail on that.
I would, excuse me, sorry. I would have to look at those particular codes and citations to know exactly what was being referenced, and given that I wasn't given that information prior to this meeting, I haven't had opportunity to do a deep dive into that. I'm happy to do so. There is nothing that I can think of off the top of my head that would prevent this board from conducting an audit of one of the divisions that is, you know, governed, managed, however you want to use that wording, by this board and by the county. I do agree with what the Assistant County Manager has said.
On a final note, this is pretty much for senior level management. At many organizations, when an external audit or an external consulting firm comes in, it's normally professional courtesy to liaise with the internal auditor, but there's really not a directive now within this organization for anyone to do this. So I may not be aware of an audit that's going on over here or an external review. Bless you. So it's something that that leadership may want to consider putting forth as for them liaising with the internal auditor, perhaps sharing reports with the internal auditor, even if it's only upon a request. So that's actually a common practice, but we hadn't had it here. I have spoken with the external auditors that do the finance audit once before when they've come to me about information. So, and just a FYI.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner.
Yes, thank you very much for addressing that. I appreciate it. And Assistant County Manager Lopez and I guess Legal Advisor Carrie Neal, thank you all for weighing in. And also Vice Chair, thank you for making the comment.
And also, we haven't gotten a second on the motion.
Go ahead and move forward with us if you want to.
Okay. And we also haven't gotten a second, so actually we can't really have discussion on the motion until we get a second.
I second it.
Thank you so much. Okay. I didn't want to point of order myself because that would just be freaking embarrassing. Okay, so we do have a motion on the floor. We do have a second. We've had a lot of discussion. I personally, as well, would just like to move forward. You all have been given homework assignments to find out if this needs to go to the state auditor. I mean, we can literally give the state auditor a call and find out pretty quickly. But I would like to see this move forward. I would like this to get underway, and I want this done. And if we find out along the way that we are operating out of scope, we can bring this to the board immediately, and the county manager definitely will keep us in the right lane, as well as our county attorney. So I have every faith that we are acting in good faith. So with that being said, any other comments or questions?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Vice Chair.
Call for the question.
Perfect. I will ask for any public comment before we come on up to the podium, please. State your name and you'll be given 3 minutes, sir.
James Fritz. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Of course.
Commissioners, Vice Chair. In reference to what Mr. Reynolds' constituent has said about CALEA, I was a member of a law enforcement agency that was and is CALEA certified and continue to do, and it's continuing its certification and has been certified for, I'd probably say about 15 years. So I have some input or some insight about CALEA, and Mr. Reynolds' constituent is correct about auditing and using that as a reference point, and that's strictly what it should be used for. When I was a member of the law enforcement agency and we were required to turn in proofs to remain certified with CALEA. So to give an example of this, James, we need a citation showing that a citation was written as a warning. I turned that in. CALEA checks a box. They met the standard. However, if it's only happened once, they're not aware of it, or if it's happened 1,000 times. So in reference to performance standards, if a internal and fair investigation was done correctly, they can turn that internal affairs investigation into CALEA and say, the box is checked. However, there could be 15 to 20 that are in the weeds that was done incorrectly, if that makes sense to the board. So again, CALEA is a good standard. However, it should be cautioned that it should be used only as a preliminary example and not as a full audit, because you're only required to turn in a proof to show it's being done one time. And the box is checked and then you're recertified. Questions for any? Thank you for your time.
We appreciate that. Anything else? Any other public comment? Moving on, Brandy.
Commissioner Gameros?
Yes.
Commissioner Reynolds? I'm
Yes.
sorry. Yes, sir. Commissioner Sanchez? Vice Chair Chaparro?
Yes.
Chair Shaljo Hernandez?
Yes, motion carries. You have your scope, sir. Thank you. It's a lot of scope. Okay, moving on. We do have item number 6, which is authorization to publish title and general summary of a proposed ordinance adopting the Doña County Lodgers Tax. I'm excited. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Vice Chair Chaparro and a second by Commissioner Gameros. And we do have our Director of Community Development, Ms. Eamsworth. Welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. I have here just a request to authorize to publish title and general summary. The lodger's tax, as you know, would apply to transient lodging such as a hotel, the short-term rentals, potentially RV parks as well. And given that the county will, we anticipate a lot of growth, particularly because of growth in the industrial park, we may be seeing more of those types of developments in the county. And so it's always preferred to have it in place before you see that growth and be prepared and have additional revenue.
Awesome. Thank you. So this is to authorizing the publication of this ordinance. I just, really quickly, I know that this was something that I wanted to get done. I think I brought it up like 4 weeks ago, and I just want to say thank you to county staff. Thank you to yourself, our legal team, Mr. Lopez, the entire budget team. I know Lucio whipped this together to get this ready to go. So I just want to say a huge shout out to our staff. I know this was something that I literally just literally physically dumped on your laps to get it done, and you guys rock and rolled and got it done. So I'm very excited that this is in front of the board to finally publish. So thank you and bravo to everyone here. I really do appreciate it. Cool. Any other comments? Seeing none. Brandy.
Do you have a motion?
Yeah, we had a motion in a second. And do it really slowly. Maybe I'll get Vice Chair back by that time. Really slowly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gameros,
Yes.
Commissioner Reynolds,
There we go. Thank you.
Commissioner Sanchez,
He's not here today. He isn't here.
he isn't
He's
here
not
today. Okay, so we'll move on to Vice Chair Chaparro.
We're voting on the motion?
Yeah.
Yes.
Chair Shaljo Hernandez.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is item number 7, which is to authorize allocation of $20,000 from county reserves for presenting sponsor level sponsorship of the Las Cruces International Film Festival to be held in April 2025 and approve the corresponding budget adjustment and authorizing county manager to sign all related documents along with the associated budget revision and resolution. Mr. Lopez.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion in a second?
moved.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion by Vice Chair Chapato and a second by Commissioner Gameros.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This will actually be quite quick, but it is also quite exciting. The Las Cruces International Film Festival, this is its 10th anniversary. This is a huge milestone, but most importantly, this is a huge opportunity for the county to really let people know that we are behind expansion of the film industry throughout Doña County. This is not something just for a municipality. This is not something just for an academic program, that we really do take this seriously as part of our economic development mission that you all have given to County Manager Scott Andrews as a priority. And this is one good way for us to take advantage of something that was born here 10 years ago and is coming up April 9th through 13th. And really support people by you all who will be getting tickets to the various activities, going out and letting people know that we really do support the film industry and we want to see more going on in this area. County Manager Andrews has actually started some related projects in this area that are not quite ripe yet, but we are having some really good discussions with people from outside that we're trying to attract into Doña County related to this area. And with that, I would like to bring up Natalie Streander from the Las Cruces International Film Festival to just kind of give you an overview of what all is going to be taking place.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm Natalie Streander, speaking on behalf of the Las Cruces International Film Festival. Our mission is to promote the film industry and the art of moving pictures in southern New Mexico and the borderlands. We aim to bring filmmakers and audiences together to celebrate independent film in the region and to provide a rich educational opportunity to filmmakers, students, and the community through on-site workshops, panel discussions, and seminars. Our festival focuses on creating and encouraging diverse audiences, and it's one of the largest student-run festivals in the nation. Again, it's taking place April 9th through 13th. This year, we're celebrating Academy Award winner Helen Hunt. She'll be there to receive an Outstanding Achievement and Entertainment Award, and we'll also have a screening of As Good as It Gets with her, and it's a great event. We thank you for your support.
Awesome, thank you. Commissioner, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, just a quick overview of what we will be doing if the board approves this. Doña County will be listed as one of the top billings as the presented by with our name and logo. That'll be in all TV, radio, and print advertisements. Our logo will be showing up on all digital and physical marketing materials. We will be getting 40 VIP tickets to all festival and exclusive events. And again, that is where we're really encouraging our commissioners to get out there and shake hands and let people know that we really do support this industry. And also 25 tickets to the poster reveal party. And we will also be getting a 30-second ad shown before every film block. And that is under development right now by the county PIO team. And so this is what's called the presenting sponsorship level of $20,000.
Awesome, thank you. Commissioners, any comments, questions?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
real quickly, and if we can set up some sort of table there at the Film Fest by Doña County and really showing our beautiful mountains, our beautiful valley, the Hatch area. We just have such a wonderful opportunity to step into this. And I will admit this, I was in a film myself. I was cut out of the film. However, in that film, I was so happy to see so many students from junior high level, high school level, university, and they were being paid $300 a day. And we had film crews and road crews and catering, and millions of dollars were spent here in Doña County. So I think this is a worthwhile cause. I don't know the number of that particular film. It was The Mule. I don't know how many millions they brought in. But it was just so exciting for me to work with people from my community in a film. So thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. Any other comments?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Natalie, thank you very much for presenting or speaking to us. And I think that this board has shown a real commitment to the movie industry, and would love to continue doing that. And we appreciate your all's request and look forward to attending all these events.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Brandy, take it away.
Commissioner Gameros?
Yes.
Commissioner Reynolds?
Yes.
Vice Chair Chaparro?
Yes.
Chair Shaljo Hernandez?
Yes. Motion carries.
Thank you so much again for your support.
Thank you.
That does have a resolution number. The number is 2025-32.
Thank you so much. Moving on, we do have item number 8, which is a memorandum of understanding for fiscal agent for Las Cruces, or Lacassa. Las Cruces. For Lacassa, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Vice Chair Chapato and a second by Commissioner Gameros. I'm just going to look over here because you two are just on it today, and I love it. Okay, we do have Mr. Lopez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is requesting the board's approval of a memorandum of understanding with Lacassa Inc. Lacassa provides domestic violence shelter services and a host of educational and support services. And they are looking to expand from their current facility, which is operated or owned by the city of Las Cruces. And they're looking for a 5 to 10 acre site. They are really out there pounding the pavement, trying to get the money for this. But they do need a fiscal agent to be able to secure government funds. And so this would be allowing Doña County to serve as that fiscal agent. There is no locked-in site selected at this time. So there are still opportunities to see whether or not this would be something in the city of Las Cruces, something outside in the unincorporated areas, or whatever Lacassa's needs might be. One thing that we have included in this that has not been done in the past is an intent to match this as a lease purchase for whatever property and buildings the county does put in under the various funds that come in. In the past, we've worked with organizations like Lacassa, and then the county 50 years later is still the owner of the property, and the entity has no ability to really control additional development on that, and they keep having to come back to that fiscal agent. The services that they provide, plus what they're talking about with an expanded campus, does provide an opportunity for us to have not just expansion of their services, we're really actually talking about expansion of job opportunities and really economic development just because of the services they provide to their clients and getting them onto a path being able to stand on their own. So this really does match with the strategic plan and the vision of the county. And so we bring it forth for your consideration. We do have representatives from Lacassa here. If you would like for them to say anything, or if you would like to ask them any questions.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Before we bring them up, do you guys have any questions for Mr. Lopez?
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Yes, Vice Chair.
So, Mr. Lopez, and maybe the representatives from Lacassa can answer this, but I know there was a lease expiring with the present location of Lacassa. I just can't remember when. And I was on the board of Lacassa twice, and so we were looking at a certain property that I've mentioned to Mr. Lopez that I think was 5 or 10 acres. I can't remember how many acres, but maybe in conjunction with the city, that can be worked out. But I think the lease was coming up or has expired. I'm not sure.
I'm seeing a nod that it was renewed.
Good morning, Cassandra Gandara, registered lobbyist for Lacassa. Chair Sheldon Hernandez, Vice Chair Chaparro, yes, it was renewed last year, and so everything's great.
And for how many years, please, Ms. Gandara?
5 years.
There's a wonderful piece of property that Lacassa was looking at about 3 years ago. I don't know if the city still has it available, but it's next to a bus route, and I'd be more than happy to share that with you so that we don't talk about it right now.
Vice Chair Chaparro, I appreciate that. We've spent the last year working with a number of property owners. The City of Las Cruces has been wonderful, giving us a list of properties or land that we and staff and the CEO, Marcy Davis, has gone around town and looked at. And they have a couple of places in Las Cruces proper, but we understand that Assistant County Manager Lopez has some other land that we might look at as well. So we are keeping all of that in mind as we move through this process.
And Ms. Gandara, thank you for the work that you do, and Lacassa, it's such an important organization and very near and dear to my heart. So if I can do anything to help you, please let me know.
I appreciate it so much. And if I may, I have a bit of a statement, if I can. I'm here today to urge you to support for Lacassa MOU that will advance land acquisition, the purchase of land, and the development of a new state-of-the-art facility, an investment that will not only strengthen our community, but also save lives. For decades, Lacassa has been a pillar of hope and safety for survivors of domestic violence in Doña County. They provide essential services, emergency shelter, legal advocacy, counseling, and support for families rebuilding their lives. But as our population grows and the demand for these critical services increase, and that certainly is the case, there are many days over capacity, have children, mamas and children in hotels. We really are stretched beyond capacity. A new modern center that will allow Lacassa to expand its reach, ensuring that every survivor, regardless of circumstance, has a safe place to turn. This facility will integrate cutting-edge trauma-informed care, increase the number of available shelter beds, and provide a dignified space where families can heal. By supporting this MOU, you are making a direct investment in public safety and family stability and in the well-being of our most vulnerable residents. Your commitment to this project will send a clear message. Doña County prioritizes the protection and empowerment of these escaping violence. I urge you to approve this critical investment and stand with Lacassa in creating a future where survivors have the resources they need to not just survive, but thrive. Thank you for your time and your leadership. And I stand for any other questions.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Mr. Chair, one last question, if I may.
Vice Chair, yes.
Thank you. Do you all have an attorney yet? Have you hired an attorney? Because I get these questions all the time, and so I'm sending folks to wherever they need to obtain legal advice. And
I understand that they have an attorney and contract, and so, yes.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Yes, Commissioner Reynolds.
I'm looking at the MOU, and by the way, I think this is fantastic that we're willing to be the fiscal agent. I'm confused this because I don't see any amount on here of how much, where the money's coming from, or how much is awarded, or how much we're going to be managing. And that's normally, I see that on these documents.
Thank
So
you,
I'm wondering-
Commissioner Reynolds. We think that the total project will cost anywhere approximately $30 million. I've been working with the legislature for capital outlay, and we're hoping for at least $3 million for land acquisition, the purchase of land acquisition, and the hiring of, obviously, architects and for design, if you will. And we will just keep moving along. There's some opportunity in House Bill 2 to include additional funding that we're hoping. There have been, at least for a year, and now this year, at least $10 million allocated to entities up north to build facilities such as this one. And so because we think we're important, we should be on that list as well. So if you are interested in reports that groundwork has conducted with Lacassa, Mr. Lopez has a copy of that. I'm happy to share that with you as well.
Actually, I'm very excited that you guys are on the list to hopefully get funding for this, because I think it's a very important project. It's just unusual not to have some numbers, but I wish you the best on getting the 3 million, and also hopefully another 10 million so we can get this project going.
Thank you.
I'm also pleased that you're willing and interested in having the county be the fiscal agent for this process. We appreciate it.
We're so thrilled with the relationship. When I called Mr. Lopez, he was nothing but open and gracious and kind. And so has your county manager. And Scott has been just really great to work with. So we're really looking forward to the partnership. We've had some real serious cases, more specifically cases related to seniors and violence, and I want to make sure that you're aware of that. So we're looking for land or a home to help seniors. We currently had, or Lacassa currently had, 2 80, 90-year-old women there at Lacassa, and they've had to really restructure their shelter to accommodate these women, and so that is sort of the latest in terms of how necessary this center is, and more specifically for the seniors that are facing violence in their homes.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Wonderful. Anything else? Seeing none, Brandy, go ahead.
Commissioner Gameros?
Yes.
Commissioner Reynolds?
Yes.
Vice Chair Chaparro?
Yes.
Chair Shaljo Hernandez?
Yes. Motion carries. We'll get that signed. Okay. Next up is we do have a hearing, item number 9, which is a hearing on a craft distiller second location's liquor license with the premise consumption and package sales for Icebox Brewing LC DBA Public House 28. Welcome, Ms. Zamora.
Hello, Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioners.
Yes. Just checking. Please raise your right hand and state your name.
Caroline Zamora, Chief Deputy County Clerk.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth?
Yes, I do.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. All right. As you just heard, we have an applicant. The applicant is seeking approval for a craft distiller second location liquor license on a premises consumption and package sales. The name of the applicant is Icebox Brewing, doing business as Public House 28. The proposed location where the license is to be is at 10092 South Highway, Anthony, New Mexico. We do not have any public correspondence for this item, and I believe Mr. John Wright from Icebox Brewing is here if you all have any questions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Commissioners, any questions? No commissioner questions. Any public comment? Opposition? Seeing none. Pretty straightforward. Mm-hmm. And you know, I can get there in about 18 minutes from my house. Straight shot.
I can get there in 7 minutes.
Oh my God, I'm gonna come and visit you then. That's, now I know. Cool, Brandy,
We need a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
to,
Second.
okay,
If I may, Mr. Chair?
yes,
To have Commissioner Gameros make the motion because it's in her district.
sounds good.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve, and we also have a second. Brandy, take it away.
Commissioner Gameros?
Yes.
Commissioner Reynolds? Vice Chair Chaparro?
Yes.
Chair Shaldo Hernandez?
Yes, motion carries. Congratulations.
Excellent, thank you.
Thanks for hanging out with us all morning. Okay, next up we have commission input follow-up. Commissioners, any follow-up input, questions, comments, concerns, announcements, dances, jigs, songs you want to sing? Seeing none. Brandy, correspondence, please.
Okay, we have Isaac Miscas as personal representative of the wrongful death estate of Ismael Miscas versus Board of County Commissioners of Doña, New Mexico, and Nat Stearns. Sam Ramos versus Sheriff Kim Storr and Amanda Lopez Askin. Diana Becerra versus Doña County, and Juan Luis Hernandez versus Doña County.
Awesome, thank you, Brandy. And with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and call this meeting adjourned at 11:39 a.m.